forward. This is perfect. So for this, you're going to need a little bit of room to sit half a cheek on the table. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit right behind our partner and hook under the arm. And for this first one, it's just it's labeled as an inferior shoulder traction, right? So I'm just pulling towards me, which is just in a way, it's a nice assessment of like what, how tight is that? The answer's tight. What I sometimes like to do when it's tight like that is actually go with it. So here I'm taking her scapula superiorly, and then look at that. It's almost like by exaggerating it, it brings awareness to, oh look, I'm actually holding, or not consciously, but then it creates a little bit more space. I'm also palpating the different tissues here that are telling me what might be at play. Also for the next technique where I'm trying to get into the rhomboid and mid traps, I really need her scapula to be able to move like this. If she's got it, or anybody I'm working on, it's locked in, it makes it really hard. So this is just sort of a nice little nonverbal cue to them that I need to be able to move your scapula like this. Okay. So for the next one, is a bit tough on the fingers. So the couple of things I can say about making it the easiest for your fingers is my leg is here and I'm bracing the back of my hand on my leg. So I'm not actually using my arm strength or my wrist strength. And then I'm going to retract her scapula onto my fingers. So my fingers aren't pressing, they're just fulcrums, right? I'm holding my fingers nice and stiff and then I'm pulling her scapula. And then once it's there, I'm gonna rotate it so that it's like getting massaged, even though my hand and fingers aren't moving at all, right? Then I'm gonna move to another position. So this way, by bracing the hand, I'm making it as little work on myself as possible, but my fingers are working to, of course, resist the weight of her body coming down on them. What you'll find sometimes is clients want to help, and what that looks like is that they're trying to help you by retracting using middle trap and rhomboid, and it makes it impossible. It makes it impossible to get in there. The more they help, the harder it is to get in there. So we really need them to be as passive as possible, right? So no need to reprimand, just use movement and see if you can get the body just to... Sometimes my fingers get tired like this and I'll turn them the other way. It's the same thing though. And then sometimes I take note, like this is just not working, and then I'll have to come in with an elbow when they're in prone later. Or maybe I already did, right? So sometimes it's just like, okay, so this, and I really notice, especially in this position, the advantage to this over prone is that in prone, the body's fixed up against the table. Here I can move the scapula in all directions, so that gives me some advantage. And it really kind of brings to light the difference from side to side. So often you'll feel one side is way different than the other in a way that you don't always notice when the body's laying down on the table. Okay, then I'm gonna, so we just worked the back side, now I wanna work the front side. So I wanna make sure my leg is up against her here so that she doesn't, so again, I don't want her body to rotate this way. I wanna fix her body so that she's getting just chest and shoulder stretch here. And we're gonna start with squeezing and coaxing that anterior deltoid to soften. I like to have the palm up. Some people, the arms like this, like that's as far as it goes. That's okay, right? And then once I feel like that, the deltoid part is relaxing, then I'm gonna come in with my, it's kind of a broad elbow. So I'm just inferior to her collarbone, and I'm right at the deltopectoral groove. So I'm over coracoid process, so I'm getting pec minor and major at the same time. So I'm pulling my elbow in towards me and then increasing the stretch over here. Find another position and increase the stretch. And I'm really isolating. Again, I'm not letting her, there's no spinal rotation in this position. And then I like to finish right on that leading edge of pec major. Good, very nice. We'll keep going. And then I'm gonna bring your arm up. If it'll allow, I'm gonna just rest it over her head like that. Some people don't have that mobility, so then the arm can just go here, but let it go as up high as it can. So notice how now the working surface is quite high. So I'm actually gonna change my position to kneeling, and then being mindful of her 12th floating rib here. I'm gonna start on the rib cage, and I wanna work this lateral side here, right? So this is the lateral line. And I'm gonna do a series of compressions, working my way up. So I'm catching lats, I'm catching intercostals. When I get to the scapula, I'm catching teres. Be really aware of your own mechanics. This is a place where you could end up being, right? So you wanna really depress the scapula, be nice and tall. I'm looking down, but you probably wanna just palpate, be in the right place, and then look ahead. This is probably the ideal position. And I would say come all the way up till you get to the joint, right there. And we'll pause there. Let me go back and